Morning world, it's Thursday the 24th of September 2020. It's about 8 a.m. in the morning UK time. At the start of this month I did a video saying, look, this is the first rays of hope. And I still maintain that what I said in that video is true, because there is the first rays of hope. But it seems like all of a sudden we're taking a deep dive into the problems of recent times once again. And from an astrological perspective, it does seem that where we are right now, yesterday, today, tomorrow, is once again in a bit of a pit. But there is a reason for this, and it is brief in the short term. As we speak, Mars in the sky is retrograde at about 26 degrees of Aries. Saturn in the sky is about to stand still and start moving forward at 25 degrees of Aries. For those of us who have had perfect skies in recent weeks, we've been able to see Jupiter, and then to the left of Jupiter by about 3 fingers widths, Saturn in the sky in the early evening and the mid-evening sky around about 10-11 o'clock. And then 90 degrees to the left, rising on the eastern horizon, we've also been able to see Mars. And if you can identify Mars, bright red, in the east, around about 10-11 p.m, wherever you are in the world, and Saturn to the south-southwest, to the left of Jupiter, then what you're looking at is a perfect square. You're actually seeing astrology in action because there's a square in the sky. Now, if you can see this, that's great. The meaning of it is the frustration, the irritation, the impatience, especially in terms of, and here we go again. Especially as in the last couple of days, Mercury in the sky in Libra has been square Pluto, square Saturn, and opposite Mars. And this is continuing today. Especially with the moon having now moved into Capricorn. The moon's in early Capricorn as we speak, and in the next day and a half it's going to be conjuncting Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto. So I imagine that the news of today and tomorrow is going to be quite challenging, confrontational for a lot of people, possibly a little bit over the top, because yesterday and today, Mercury moves into its next retrograde shadow. There is a Mercury retrograde coming up, starting in mid-October and ending in early November. And this is taking place in the first 10-11 degrees of Scorpio, but also the last 5 degrees of Libra. So when Mercury comes back and stands still, it's going to stand still opposite where Mars is now and square to where Saturn is now. In addition to this, just when you think it can't get any worse, I seem to remember at the start of this year pulling out 2 or 3 particular times of this year where there were going to be major challenges. And the last of these times was the new moon on the 16th of October, when the sun and the moon in the sky will be together at 23 degrees Libra, opposite Mars, squaring Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto. The Mercury retrograde will not be affecting that directly at the time, but it's in its shadow position. There will be an influence. So that's why I've titled this video, Hold Your Nerve. Because it seems to me that even though at the start of September I suggested that things are going to start getting lighter now, they are, but we've still got one more big deep dive to go. And this is going to become more and more obvious as we get into October. So for the coming few weeks, things are going to get messier. There is going to be a further level of intensity and extremes, and all over the world, whether it be economic, political, in all areas of day-to-day life, there's going to be a growing degree of intensity. And then, once we're past that new moon, that is the last intense period of 2020. Then Mars goes further on backwards, and by the time it starts moving forward again and squares Jupiter and Saturn, they'll have changed sign, and Mars will have changed sign. And this won't be happening until the early new year. Jupiter and Saturn are going to be moving into Aquarius in 3 months' time, or less than 3 months' time, 12 weeks' time. So it seems to me that both yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the period around the 16th of October are the last remaining critical times of what is proving to be one of the most difficult years in memory. I'm not going to say human history, obviously, but in memory. So it'd be very easy to sort of cast assertions, cast blame, seek fault. But one of my basic principles is that you can't know what's going on for anyone else unless you first of all recognise it within yourself. And there is a degree of individual responsibility here for everything that's going on. I'm not saying that you are responsible for what's happening in your world. I am saying that you are responsible for the way you choose to deal with it. So you can choose to be upset, angry, irritable, and blame other people. Or you can choose to go, okay, crap happens. Let's take it on the chin, deal with it, work through it, and come out the other side. Because one thing I do know in my 65 years is that things work in cycles, and it's not always going to be this bad. And the more we get into less than 1 month from now, we're all going to be starting to see a degree of lightness. The pressure's going to be starting to come off, and a lot of us by this time next month are going to be feeling that our heads are higher, our shoulders are lower, our backbones are straighter. The gravity and the pressure will be starting to come off. This doesn't mean it's going to get easier and easier, because through looking at individual charts, the movements of Jupiter and Saturn in this coming 3 months are going to bring a great deal of conclusion and ending to a large number of personal situations that have been going on this year. But again, it's a question of whether you dance to other people's strings and whether you react, or whether you do it yourself and you act. You can act or you can react, and it's obvious which one's better. So in the very short term, in the next 24, 36 hours, let's cover myself and say 48 hours, through to tomorrow night, Saturday morning, then choose deliberately not to let your buttons get pushed, and deliberately not to let yourself get angry. And then we'll deal with the new moon in a week or so's time. Take care out there. Be gentle with yourselves and find the humour, even if it's through the tears. Catch you later, world. Bye.